The thermal detonator is officially the glitchiest weapon in LEGO Fortnite Odyssey. Now, in order to get yourself some thermal detonators, you're going to need some blast core and durasteel, and neither of those things are very cheap or extremely easy to find unless you're over on the Star Wars island for the durasteel. As far as getting yourself blast core, you're going to need to visit your dry valley and float from one geyser to the next, staring at the ground until you're able to actually find one of the crabs that'll drop you blast core. The way that this works is actually pretty simple. If you guys have a good enough glider, you guys are going to be able to float for a very good period of time. While you guys are floating, you're going to look down at the ground until you're able to spot yourself one of these crabs. What you're going to do is land on them, attack them a few times, grab that blast core, and then go to the next geyser. If you guys are moving fast enough, you normally will get yourself 1 or 2 blast core every minute, which means it really only takes about 10 to 15 minutes in order to get enough blast core to defeat the Storm King with thermal detonators. In order to get yourself durasteel, just go over to the Star Wars island and you're actually able to collect this from some of the villagers or go into one of these Star Wars caves and just start destroying things. When you guys are destroying boxes and walls and different things like that, you'll actually get scrap durasteel or durasteel from them, which is going to help you make these detonators. Once you have durasteel and blast core, you're going to walk over to your rebel workbench and start creating thermal detonators. Again, when it comes to fighting the Storm King or taking on heavy mobs, you're going to need a ton of these thermal detonators. For the Storm King, you need about 20 of them. I'll get a little bit more than 20 just to be safe, but I recommend having at least that amount in order to take down all of the respawners very quickly, but also to stun the Storm King so he actually can't attack you. Thermal detonators are so good that you're not going to take any damage from the Storm King or any enemy minions ever again. Now, you do have to defeat Raven before you do this, unless you already have 10 Eye of the Storm, because we are going to be demonstrating how good thermal detonators are now after the recent update by fighting the Storm King. Using the thermal detonators on regular enemies really isn't worth it because they're not that difficult to begin with. But after the recent update, Raven actually now drops you at minimum 6 total Eye of the Storm, which means that every day you're going to be able to go in and fight the Storm King as long as you had a few extra Eye of the Storm. So now let's show you guys how easy it is to defeat the Storm King. First, obviously, deposit your 10 Eye of the Storm so that you're able to actually open up the Tempest doorway. During your first 3 phases, what you're going to do is wait for the Storm King to launch out his respawners. During this phase, he's never going to attack you, so hold your thermal detonator in your hand and just actually hold it to throw it. So that would actually be kind of like charging it, even though these don't charge. And you're going to wait until he puts these 2 lightning bolts on the ground and immediately throw the thermal detonator on them to prevent him from actually spawning any enemies. Now, I know all of you probably already know the thermal detonators one-shot the respawners, but that's not the entire reason for this video, so make sure that you watch until the end. The Storm King's attacks are scripted to be the exact same every single time that you fight him, which means that you're going to get hit with an energy attack first, followed by 3 energy rock attacks. When it comes to the energy beam, you can simply run left or right or dive out of the way and you won't take any damage. When it comes to the 3 rock throws, you could do the exact same thing. You could either run away or simply dive directly into them in order to take 0 damage. After those attacks, the weak point is going to open up, and the best trick in order to get this done very quickly is actually going to be standing directly under him so he goes for a melee attack. Once you see that that melee attack is coming, you could actually run out of the way and get him stuck, allowing you to just take free shots at him. Now, at the end of that last clip, you saw that I pulled my thermal detonators out and immediately started charging them up, and that's going to be because in the next phase he's going to put out 2 more of those respawners, and then he's going to go through the exact same attacks that he's already gone through. The only difference now is that he's actually going to spawn up these little purple balloons out here, and they're going to do a little bit of damage to you unless you destroy them. So what I recommend doing is pulling out a crossbow and just knock these out of the way while you already know exactly what attacks he's going to do to you. And just to demonstrate again, once you see that weak point point come up, you're going to walk directly underneath of him until he does his melee attack, and then walk right next to him and have free range at that weak point. He's not going to move too much, so you could actually just shoot straight here to destroy the weak point very, very easily. I won't bore you guys, but every single time that you destroy a weak point, you pull your thermal detonators out and you throw them immediately over at those respawners, and then get ready for the Storm King to use the same attacks on you again. Once again, you're going to be able to memorize the attacks that he's going to do and figure all of this out so quickly that the thermal detonator will make sure that no enemies ever respawn. Now, the entire reason I'm making this video is to show you how broken the thermal detonators are, and they shine as bright as possible in that final phase against the Storm King. The first thing you guys can see is I take down a quarter of his health before he's actually even able to knock me off of the map. Once he does this, this is where the thermal detonators really shine. Now, there's two things that you guys are going to be able to do here. Once again, he's going to put down 2 respawners for you. You could actually take your thermal detonators out and immediately throw them at those respawners to break them so no enemies spawn. But there's another trick that you guys are going to be able to do that re-released into the game that was previously here, but actually was taken out by Epic because of how overpowered it is. And that's going to be throwing the thermal detonator at the Storm King. If you throw one at his base, you could see that he gets stunned. So now when he's trying to do his attacks on me, he actually gets stopped in the middle of his attack, which means that I could throw thermal detonators at him and then spam my attacks on him with my crossbow and kill him extremely easily. Now, I wanted to rewind here to talk about one of the points that I was trying to make earlier, and that's that you could actually stun him the second that you land on the platform so that he can't even put down the respawners. This is going to not only save you 2 thermal dynamite so that you could stun him and continue to do your attacks, but it's also going to prevent him from putting down any type of respawners, which means that you're going to be able to fight him without any type of enemies releasing or any attacks coming from him. So I highly recommend immediately throwing thermal detonators at him when you guys land back on the platform to stop any attacks and any enemies from respawning. Now, I know a lot of people still haven't killed the Storm King, but I think that this is going to give you your best chance to do so. You don't have to worry about fighting enemies, and you actually don't even have to worry about attacks coming from the Storm King in that final phase. This was patched by Epic before and removed from the game to where thermal detonators didn't stun the Storm King, so I could definitely see them removing this again at some point. So if you guys don't have all of the new mythics or have the Shatterhorn fragments, make sure that you guys are signing in every single day and taking advantage of this before they patch it. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, guys, this was Crafty, and I'm out. Peace. Help me reach 50,000 subscribers by pressing that sub button in the top right. And if you guys haven't already, check out that video in the top left. YouTube thinks that you'll like it a lot. Peace.